What's up? That's an interesting one to bring us in with, Neil. Well, what's up, everybody? This is the old guy in the club. I am the old guy in the club, and I am joined by my two buddies, Mr. Rob Zilla out in San Diego, California.
Greetings.
Mr. Neil Jackson in New York City. And for the second week in a row, I am in New York City. Still on my quarantine, which I talked about last week. So yeah, that's it's been fun staying in a hotel room and leaving for 8 minutes a day. I think I've gained 30 pounds since I've been here in the last 2 weeks, eating this New York food. But anyway, as Zilla drinks his flavored sparkling water, that's very exciting. Or is that not sparkling?
It is not sparkling. It is a flat water, hint water. Hint, if you're watching us, we'd love you for sponsorship. The old guy, of course.
Infused.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Shameless plug.
All right. Well, before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to Angie V for coming on last week. That show was hilarious. If you saw the recap, there were some really funny parts of that episode. And when you put Angie in a conversation with a couple dudes and we talk about some funny topics, it was bound to go off the rails. And it certainly did. So on this week's show, we have, as most of you know, I would think, we have Jamie Hyder. Jamie is, let's just start with her career as an actor at this point. And then we can go into the other cool things she does. So she's been on a lot of shows, but she was on Graceland. She was on True Blood, which we'll talk about later. She's currently on Law & Order SVU.
Hence the theme music.
Hence the theme music. That now it makes sense. And she was, I think, I want to say the first lead character in Call of Duty, which is an incredibly popular game that people play. I'm not a gamer, but from everyone I know, and I'm sure these guys can attest, it's like a very, very big deal. So yeah, we're going to talk. Yes, big deal. So we're going to talk to Jamie. We're going to do our two segments that we love to do, A Knight's Tale and Grinds My Gears, of course. And besides the acting part of her life, Jamie is a very, very interesting person. She has a lot of causes that she is involved with, and she's a very passionate person. And I'm not going to list them all. We'll get into it as we go along. So, without further ado, let's bring in Jamie Hyder.
Sorry, I had to.
Welcome.
What's going on, guys?
That's about as high tech as we get here on the old guy in the club.
Either that or the air horn. So
yeah.
We have that up already.
Exactly. So we were just chatting before we came on the broadcast here, and you're in New York right now.
Yes.
But do you spend a lot of time? I would assume you spend a lot of time in LA.
Well, not since I moved to New York last year. Because when we're shooting, we work 5 days a week, so there's not really a whole lot of time to get that far. And then since the pandemic, we've just kind of hunkered down in the apartment and wait to see what's next.
Yeah. And you're originally from Washington, D.C., right?
Yep. I grew up right outside the city in Northern Virginia.
Have you spent a lot of time down there since the pandemic, or?
Recently I've gone down a few times. I've got a couple friends down there that I stay with and kind of just hang out at their house. And I always have to get my dose of blue crabs because eating crab feasts is pretty much my favorite thing in the world.
So from what Neil tells me, and you and Neil have some history, you guys go back a ways. Mm-hmm. In addition to all these other things that you do, and there's a long list, and we'll get into some of that. But he says you're a foodie. And
I love to eat.
Yeah. So I guess my original question is going to go out the window because you don't spend a lot of time in LA, but I'm going to switch it. I'm like, who has better food, Washington, D.C. or New York?
Well, I mean, I can do LA too. I was in LA for 10 years before I came to New York. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I haven't been there, but so I love LA, and I like the kind of hole in the wall spots. You know, I love that you can get really amazing Korean food and Thai food and all these other different like types of food like that. But in New York, I love that all these small little restaurants are in these old ass spaces. Like everything in New York is old, and I love that. Like
Yeah.
in LA, everything's always new, being redone, changing. It's kind of like people, right? Like everything has a different face every month, and it's like after a while, it's just like it's just like it's always a show. Everything's always a production. So in New York, it feels more. It's just like more chill, and everything feels like this awesome neighborhood joint that you happened upon, even if everybody knows about it.
Right. So are you? I mean, I guess the only option right now is to eat outside. Are you a fan of outside dining?
I'm kind of loving the European vibe that New York has got right now. You know,
It does feel like that.
doesn't it?
Seriously.
Al fresco dining.
Yes, and everyone's like put up like, you know, every contractor in the city got so much work because everyone's built the porch things, and then they all have these like flower beds, and it's made it all like super atmospheric, and so
a lot of umbrellas.
French being drenched in sweat. It looks really cute.
Yeah. The place I ate at last night was basically just plywood. there was no flower beds, but the meal was great.
And we're grateful for it, right? And the meal could have sucked, but you think it's great because someone fucking got to hand it to you finally.
Oh, it was great. I mean, and you know, I only felt like I was going to get stabbed 3 times. So it was really nice to be outside. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time to be in New York. I'll leave it at that. You know, I grew up here, as most of you guys know, and it reminds me a lot of the way it was when I was a kid here, where, you know, for the most part, you're going to be safe, but there's always that element of if you don't know what you're doing, or if you find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, it could get a little hairy. I actually ran into a buddy of mine on the street yesterday, and he was telling me that even, you know, the old mobsters are starting to come back now, which is like just totally random. No, not from the dead, you idiot. But
that would be even better.
No, but yeah, that'd be great. But he said that there's some of the social clubs around town are starting to be filled up with people again.
All right.
Which is interesting.
Bring our numbers up. If the mob is responsible for bringing our numbers up, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, I don't think you should have a word with them about it.
Yeah. I'm not trying to have a fight with Joey Bag of Donuts right now. It's like,
how did that nickname come to be? Why was it Bag of Donuts?
Why not?
I mean, it could have been anything.
An Italian last name that no one could pronounce, and then it just
yeah.
Like
if someone in the chat over there has a minute, look up the what's the word, the it's something with an E.
The internet?
No, the etymology.
Nice one, Justin.
Wow, I like
that was in The Rock, right?
Bag of Donuts.
Didn't they talk about the etymology in The Rock in that movie? Yeah, I think they used that. That's the only reason I know that word. I know that's so dumb. But yeah, I would be curious to know where that came from.
it's just probably like gabagool. Like I never knew what gabagool was. And then I figured out that it was Coca-Cola salami, and that's what people in New Jersey who are Italian say it. I was like, what?
Oh, so that means something.
Yeah, like if you watch a couple episodes, watch a couple seasons of The Sopranos, and you'll be completely versed in
I've
North
watched
Jersey
the whole
slang.
thing, but I've heard the term gabagool, but I just thought it was just.
It's Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, Coca-Cola is gabagool, mozzarella is mozzarella, but it's like Motzerell, mozzarella.
So wait, we have the Lebanese girl and the Palestinian guy talking to us about how to pronounce Italian words.
Well,
yeah, that's
I'm
right.
glad that we've been asking for Italian more times than either of you.
Wait, what does Marco Painta have to say here? Basically, no, I don't believe that, Marco.
No. Basically, a mob guy who eats a lot of donuts. They call him Joey Bag of Donuts.
If that's true, that would be incredible, because I kind of like that. I want it to be true.
Then I would be Rob Bag of Falafel. I mean, this is not.
Well, that's what we call you.
Jamie ramen.
Right?
I feel like that needs to be a meaning for something. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna like insert it every so often until everybody's like, yes, it belongs there.
Like your way of saying like word.
That's like
38. Sorry.
Good.
Sorry. I'm just jumping all over everybody today. I'm sorry, guys. I was saying
No.
Mars 3833 from the Twitch chat says, according to Urban Dictionary, a term used in Italian American communities, particularly in the Philadelphia area and eastward, shout out to Philly, to describe a fat person, Italian American for fat ass.
That's
Thank you, Mars.
gabagool?
No, that's Joey Bag of Donuts.
All right.
A Joey Bag of Donuts likes to eat a lot of gabagool.
Oh, 100%. He can't eat donuts all the time.
Oh, I actually like that one, Marco.
Hey,
That was
so Zilla, before we go on, you want to shout out some people in the chat that have joined us?
Absolutely. Gabriel Swin, I think, is 6 weeks for 6 weeks. Welcome back to the show, aka JFO. I owe you a phone call, Jeff. You want to say hi to Jordan Zotz from beautiful Staten Island, New York.
Hey.
Also said hello to Marco Penta. Everybody jump in. Oh, Rob Cartwright's in the chat as well as Jenna 2882. Everyone, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Bryson Ryder, we see you. Guys, the chat room is yours. We are watching, so feel free to drop in your comments. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe. Go follow Jamie on all of her social media handles. Follow all of us, and let's have some fun. Yeah? Let's do
Also,
it.
Jenna, thank you for subscribing to the channel.
Thank you, Jenna.
We got another subscriber.
Woo!
What does that make us? 2?
To what? No, Zilla.
I'm kidding.
We don't. That's like talking about your bank account. We don't talk about how many subscribers we have.
Fair enough. Jenna, we appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
All right. So, Jamie, as a character on Call of Duty, I would assume, I hope I'm not assuming something that's wrong, that you're at least a little familiar with Twitch.
I'm a little familiar. I know what it's for, what it's used for, and I've done interviews and things on it, but I don't use it that often personally.
Okay. But you're aware that there's like this crazy like cult following on Twitch of like people that like, I mean, I don't want to say they're insane, but they're very passionate about their games that they play.
Yes. The gaming community in general is extremely passionate and extremely vocal about their games.
So one thing that we wanted to touch on was, I guess this week, Zilla, is supposed to be Comic-Con week in San Diego.
I'm just going to go ahead and take a deep breath and kind of exhale my sadness. I'm going to let out, inhale the good shit, let out the bad shit, because there is no Comic-Con in San Diego this week. COVID took that away from us.
Yes, it did.
So for those of you not familiar with Comic-Con, it is, I guess it started as a comic book convention, kinda, in San Diego. And there's a lot of them around the country, maybe the world, I'm not sure. But the main one is in San Diego. And I lived out there for 6 years. And it was always the most insane week of the year. We didn't sleep for like a week, and we'd have parties all day, all night. And I lived for it. It was so much fun. So Jamie, I know you've been out there. Were you out there for True Blood, or were you out there for Call of Duty?
I went out for True Blood, and then that was something where I kind of did my own thing and went around, did different parties and stuff like that. But then Call of Duty was official. We had a panel and all that stuff. So that's when it's like mega organized, and you have people walking you everywhere, because like to cross from the convention center just over to a hotel can take 20 minutes, because it's like thousands of people are trying to cross the street, and they're like, let's throw a train in there just to make things interesting. And like, and it's just like, it cracks me up. Like, I think it's an amazing week. I think that the amount of people that go and the amount of passion and the parties, like they're better parties. I'm like, why doesn't anyone go parties like this the rest of the year?
Right.
I mean, we had some, we had some incredible parties at the Hard Rock. That I mean, I couldn't even list like the guest list. It was just everywhere you look. You're like, oh, there's that guy from whatever. And I have some friends in your business that are pretty well known, and I would just be with them. And you walk through the lobby of the hotel, and it's like insane.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I went to the actual convention once, and I was like, I guess I should go one time. I've never been, so I went, and I was walking around. Zilla, I might have been with you. I'm not even sure. Maybe it's possible, but I saw Lou Ferrigno. Okay, obviously Lou Ferrigno is a huge deal. He was the Incredible Hulk. Like, what's better than that? And he was walking through the convention, and not a single person acknowledged that he was there. Didn't even know who he was. And I was like, I hate all these people right now, because this guy is like one of the reasons like why there is a Comic-Con, I would think. And no one turned their head like with a double take, was like, was that the Hulk? And it was nothing. And I was like, these fucking people, fuck these nerds. And sorry.
Wow. Whoa, hey.
I was a little angry.
That is not going to be in the recap video.
Really?
Oh, that's in the recap video.
That is definitely not in the recap video. Jesus.
Jamie, have you ever walked so in your time at Comic-Con, did you ever walk the floor itself? Like, did you find yourself on, and what was your experience like?
When I was there, I always feel like people think that like people are going to recognize you all over the place. For me, that's just not the way that it really was. I mean, some people might have, like, I feel like right after True Blood, when I went, people might have known a little bit more. Call of Duty, people might hear my voice first, which was kind of funny, and then they turn around and be like, wait a second, like, I know that voice. But walking around the floor for me was just like, it made me realize how many components to this world there are, and how many things I have no idea about. And like, whether it's about games or cosplay or table games or whatever it is, like all the different facets of, like, I was just in awe when we were there. And, to do a panel and all of that was like, you feel so grateful because you're sitting there and there's thousands of people sitting there just like, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Well, I mean, that is the one time of the year that they've left their parents' basement.
Oh
wow!
There it is.
Fuck.
You know why that they didn't.
I couldn't resist.
Was because
somebody mean to you online.
What's that?
Was somebody mean to you on like a live gaming thing or something?
Yeah, was you cyberbullied or something?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm an asshole.
You know why they didn't know who Lou Ferrigno was? Because Lou Ferrigno was not Mark Ruffalo.
And he's not on a CW.
You don't know who that is, do you? Because you're too old for Mark Ruffalo.
DJ Train from the Twitch chat says, I don't think people realize how big Call of Duty is. It brought in $647 million in 2019. It was, that version of the game, and there have been multiple volumes. The version he's speaking out was brought out in October of 2019, so it had 3 months to do that. For a lot of people that haven't actually experienced Comic-Con firsthand, if I may, I'm just going to paint a picture. It isn't just a convention center filled with comic books. It is a pop culture convention. So every aspect, with every television studio, every movie studio. I mean, I went to lunch, and out in front of this restaurant I walked into, the entire cast of The Big Bang Theory is just hanging out, having a chat. So from sitcoms to action films to our friends, the Impractical Jokers, who took over all of Petco Park and threw a block party for 25,000 people. So every facet of pop culture is represented, and everybody kind of gets together under this big umbrella and has a great time for 4 days. It's 250,000 people.
Yeah, now you have like people like Netflix, who are participating in other types of, Amazon, and like as the content sort of shifts, more players kind of come in, and it's interesting. I hope that some semblance of it will happen next year.
Side question. Somebody in the chat, Rich BB9, is asking Jamie, are you Rosie from the new Call of Duty?
I saw that comment and see how this goes, but I actually am Rose in the new Call of Duty.
Wait, say that again?
Person notes that, but
wait. So did we just get the scoop on?
Was that breaking news?
Well, So they've got the Modern Warfare that they released last year.
Wait.
I don't know why I have this in there. I just had that in there as a joke, and now I'm throwing it up there.
Neil, where is it?
I just did it.
I don't have a reason to use it.
Oh my God. That's amazing. So this Modern Warfare that they're talking about that came out in October, it has more players and more people have subscribed to do online gaming and stuff than almost any other Call of Duty because of the pandemic. And they released part of it for free as well. So more people are playing this game than any other game. So they're adding so much more additional content. So I got to voice an additional character for the multiplayer that they're introducing. And so I just stood, let's see, right there. And I look like a weather person. I can't do this backwards. It's like 50. I stood in that closet and actually recorded all the stuff for Rose over a 2-day period.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's nuts.
You heard it first here at the Old Guy in the Club.
Yeah, I knew I had that breaking news, Jeff.
Oh my God. You had that already.
Everyone calls it a GIF. I have done some research. It is a GIF.
It's a GIF. You're right. And
Thank
I know
you,
I
Jamie.
feel uncomfortable saying it correctly because everyone else says it wrong and I sound wrong.
Yeah. So I have a funny Comic-Con story that I was gonna. You know what? I'm gonna wait till Sal comes on the show because we're gonna get Sal on the show from Practical Jokers. It was about their first year at Comic-Con, and we just happen to be friends with those guys. So I'll save this one. Yeah, I don't know why I just started to talk about it and did it, but that's typical old guy. Here, I gotta tell you a story, and then I'm not.
In show business, that's what we call that a tease, Justin.
Yeah, you know, I don't know that stuff, or maybe I do, and I'm just playing dumb. So we mentioned True Blood. One thing that I don't remember who it was, either Neil or Zilla, was telling me that was one of the first times, I guess, that you kind of popped on the scene, or people started to become really aware of you. And there was a scene, I guess, where you had no clothes on, which
They call
I'm
it
going to
naked.
say this,
They call it naked.
and I felt weird even going and looking this up since I heard about it, so I didn't. So I haven't seen the scene because it'd be creepy. I think, I don't know, but anyway,
I agreed to do it.
right? I don't know, but it's I don't know.
Borderline saying, "You were in the buff."
You weren't wearing any clothes, and
I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic high school. I don't know if I'm not allowed to talk about this though.
I was shifting from my wolf to my human form, is what it was.
And you can't do that in Levi's. You can't.
Wolves don't wear clothes.
Yeah, it doesn't translate into fur.
Well, Michael J. Fox did in Teen Wolf. He wore clothes.
I don't know why boobs disappear when you become a wolf, but a pair of jeans doesn't.
So I did have a question about this. So I guess my question was, how did your family feel about that? I don't know if you had a boyfriend at the time, or how did the people in your life feel about that? Was it weird, or was it
Well, I had already done a season of the show, and when I auditioned, it was one of my first. I had done a one-word something on a show on Fox one time, but this was the first time that I had gotten a recurring part. And it was only meant to be 2 episodes, and I did my one-line audition. My line was, "Sure is a stubborn son of a bitch," and that was my audition line. I'll never forget that. And I ended up staying on the show for 2 seasons. And the first episode of my second season came, and they sent me a script, and I'm looking at it, and then someone calls me and says, "How would you feel about playing this particular part in the script? Instead of casting someone new, we could give this to you." So I read the scene, and I'm like, And so I started asking some questions, and then I realized, all right, I'm going to have to do full frontal nudity if I want to say, yes, I'll take this increased role on the show. I was like, all right. So what I did is I actually called my best friend's mom first, because she's very rational and just cuts right to the chase. And I called her and I was like, Marcy, and they're offering me a bigger part, but I have to do this nudity. You know, I'm just not sure how I feel about it. And she was like, oh, that's part of your job. Like, this is part of your job. Like, you knew this was going to happen eventually. I don't have a problem with it. This is like someone who helped raise me. Like, this was like my second mom. And she was like so like matter of fact about like, of course you should do it. And I was just like, oh, if Marcy isn't judging me, then like, I don't care. Like, she'll judge. That's why I love her. So I decided to do it.
I thought maybe it'd fit right there. Sorry.
I decided to do
You said
it.
judge. I was like, boom.
And
Sorry.
I don't say anything to my family until like a couple weeks before, because I don't want them like thinking about it the whole time. So I don't say anything to anyone. I've already made the choice. I already filmed it, all that stuff, and then I kind of let everyone know that you know, I'm like, hey, my dad's like, oh, so can't believe you're gonna be in the next season. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, so you guys can't watch the first episode because I'm naked and I blowjob to boot. So I was like, you guys can't watch this episode. And my dad's like, oh God, are you serious, Jamie? He's like, I knew it was coming eventually. And I was like, you knew, and it's gonna happen. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna do it somewhere. You gotta do it on HBO because like they make sure that you look good, and they do it all the time. And like no one on watching an HBO show is like, you know. So it's like it all fits well. So my dad was like, well, all right, I'm just not gonna watch it. And then it airs on a Sunday. The Friday before, everyone's like apparently at work. You know, my dad's job, and he's like a big boss in the government, and like apparently everyone's coming up to him and they're like, George, we can't wait to see Jamie on Sunday. We're so excited for the new season. Can't believe she's back. And all these people are just like coming up to my dad, and my dad already knew at this point that I was going to be naked. And so my dad's telling me the story like on Monday. Episode airs Sunday. He goes, James, it's the funniest thing. I got to work Monday. No one would make eye contact with me. So I cannot tell you how grateful I am for him having a good sense of humor about it. My mom was like, whatever. The only thing in my mom's head is like, well, there's going to be creeps now. You know, like she's worried about like my safety. And my dad, go, you know, and my dad, he just said, when I got to work, no one would make eye contact.
Oh, that's so good.
So they were good sports. And
yeah, I can't make eye contact with you right now.
So I know. I can't tell you how many people I know who are couples who watched it together that are some of my best friends, and them like trying to figure out whether or not to be mad, like the girl trying to be mad at the boyfriend, or like things like that. Or you know, when I date people, it's like, let me say, you know, there's like definitely fully naked pictures. And my dad would be like, Jen, there's all these links out there. I don't click on them, but they're links. I've seen the links. I just gotta get those taken down. And I'm like, Dad, it's the internet. You just have to bury it. Like if it's HBO property, they can legally go and ask them to take it down because they don't have the rights to the images. We sent them ones that were higher trafficked areas because people fucking put out there like 1 second at a time and like take the freeze frame and like blow it up and like make a site for it. It's like, where do you have the time? But my dad, James, there's a lot of links out there. I'm like, I know, Dad. Don't click on them, and they'll get buried. All right, that's the only. I have to do other good things, and then the internet.
And
your dad sounds hilarious.
And then I got voted last year top 10 butt on HBO.
Hey,
Really?
You know?
Now, did that come with a plaque or?
I wish. Apparently,
What-
it was the biggest accomplishment at the time because I posted it on Instagram.
What number were you?
They didn't number it. It was just 10
Oh.
people.
I
So-
mean, but there's a lot of butt out there for what 2019. There was a lot of butt,
Especially
and
on
to be
HBO.
in the
I've been
top
no
10.
carb, no dairy, and no alcohol for 30 fucking days. I deserve every award that they have.
Who else was on the list?
A bunch of dudes, actually, which was like, finally, you're getting objectified. Tight. And then it was and then it was like Tandy Newton, who I'm all for. I'm like, get it, girl. We can only hope. And I can't remember the other people because I clearly was distracted.
Tandy
But it
Newton's-
doesn't matter. She made it in there. Out of all the butts in 2019, she's in the top 10, or she's amongst the 10. Jesus, that's a lot of competition right there.
Hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah,
I had something to show for it, even though I showed up.
I think you.
I don't know if Neil warned you about how this was going to go.
Oh yeah, he told. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
actually thought,
totally.
Like, oh, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I actually think that when we met, at some point within that night, you were like, "I'm the butt on True Blood." I was like, "That's it. That's it. That's where."
I invited Neil to. Well,
How did you guys meet? Like,
I
let's
can't
just.
remember when we met because I think about the Johnny Walker dinner, but we already knew each other at that.
Yeah,
point.
we already knew each other from. Well, we have two mutual friends.
Oh, Adam.
Adam. And Justin, you might know Adam. He used to work in Vegas back in the day, like Pure Days. So that's how Jamie. She was with Adam. Adam had just moved to New York, and that's how we became friends.
Okay.
We might have had ramen or something, probably.
Say again.
Might have had ramen or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did have. Well, no, I knew you even before that. You were in town shooting. You were in town for the Call of Duty thing.
Probably. That's probably.
Yeah.
Neil's always eating ramen. So if you've ever been to a ramen restaurant in your life, Neil's probably been there.
Ramen is my life.
He's probably been there before me.
I don't know. Korean barbecue. We can also compete on that one.
Yeah, Korean barbecue. I think when you moved here, you took me there.
I bought my own grill because I was sick of everything being closed. So I have a tabletop butane thing, and then I bought a ceramic grill from Japan that sits on top of the butane flame on the kitchen table, so I can eat Korean barbecue.
Shout out to Call of Duty money.
Oh, Justin and I can kind of one up you on that one, Jamie.
On what?
At the beginning of quarantine, well, we both invested in our Blackstone Benihana style griddles for our homes. So Justin has a 2.5 footer. I have the full 3 foot.
What I'm doing is push league. What you guys are doing is what I'm trying to go for.
It's so worth it.
In a New York apartment, there probably isn't appropriate space for it, but this is definitely an outdoor endeavor. But from fried rice to flat top cheeseburgers.
You do the onion volcano?
Yeah, I've done onion volcano.
Oh, I want to ask the chat because I just want to know who I'm dealing with. Right? Yes, if you are a fan of Benihana in the chat, Jamie, are you a Benihana fan?
Yes, 100%.
How the hell did I get on this show?
Because as Anthony Bourdain once said, Neil Jackson, you have horrible taste in food.
No, he didn't say that.
He didn't know you guys.
He said he has shitty taste in food.
Yeah, first off, he has never met you guys. So
let me explain something to you. So, Jamie, I've been to a lot of good restaurants around the world. Benihana is my favorite restaurant on the planet. It's like where I want to go for my birthday every year.
Okay.
And Zilla is the same way. We've had many birthdays together at Benihana.
Okay. Have you guys ever been to Tokyo? Because it's in Osaka. I went to what I consider to be like insanely fancy teppanyaki. Like it was like Benihana, but it was like prawns that were still alive when they put them on the fucking grill, and it was like Wagyu beef steaks, and you had your own personal chef, and it was just you. And that was amazing. But I crave Benihana all the time.
Now, I went to a fancy teppanyaki place at the Wynn, I think it was, in Vegas. It's not even close to as good as Benihana. It's because Benihana, I don't know what it is, but I will tell you.
It's a tub of butter.
Yes, it's the garlic butter and the sesame oil. And so I make the fried rice, and I have almost perfected it. Like it's 98% of the way there. My older son loves Benihana more than anything on the planet, including me probably. And he even told me that it's just as good. So that's one of the biggest accomplishments of my life.
What's your favorite part of the meal? Both of you. Neil, you're out of this conversation.
Are we talking about like as far as the show or the actual food?
All right, let's do both.
The show, I love the volcano. It's so good. What could be better than that?
So, true story. When I was doing radio back in the day here in San Diego, there was a bit where some of us would do other people's jobs. So one of the jobs that I had to do was be a Benihana chef for a day. So I actually learned how to, like, I did onion volcano. So imagine me in the big red hat. I've got the white suit on, red apron, everything. I'm flipping things. I probably killed at least 2 people. Like, there's no reason why I should have been back there. But yeah, I love the theatrics of it. I love the corny. It's like the same reason why I love the Jungle Cruise on Disneyland. It's the nostalgia of it.
Or
I
like pirate dinner show. Like I want to go to medieval times. Like I like this show.
It's corny and it's goofy and it's fun and it's like, you know.
But
so
that's why you like Benihana?
Yeah, it's all of those things all tied in together, Neil. It's absolutely.
I'm just trying to figure out the food.
I will tell you, in my opinion, the fried rice at Benihana is a top 5 food item of all time.
I get that.
I almost threw my computer out the window just now. I almost did. Almost. I was like, you know what? It's not that serious, Neil. It's not that serious. I almost
listen. No one's going to accuse Benihana of being, you know, a Michelin-starred meal. I mean, it ranks right up there with, you know, like, you know, good greasy diner food at 3 a.m. after a night of drinking. It's kind of just one of those things, you know, a special occasion restaurant. Yeah.
But wait, but you bought,
but it's fun.
The question is you guys bought these grills. Right. Are you guys also doing the theatrics too? And then that will make sense.
Depends on who's there.
But other than that, if you're
having a spatula while you're
doing the
flip it around, of course.
Yeah.
Flicking a shrimp into some like person's face or hat.
Absolutely. if someone would give me the opportunity to flick a shrimp at them, you think you're gonna pass up on that, Neil? Of course you're gonna do it.
Look, if it's the theatrics, then I get it. But if you're buying your own grill, then you genuinely like the food, and the food is terrible.
Neil Jackson, I'm sorry, I just want to tell you something really quickly. Having a flat top, flapjacks on a flat top, there is, you know, pancakes, bacon, making breakfast sandwiches, like there is nothing better. This is not just isn't a one-trick pony, my friend.
I'm only talking about Benihana.
It's a dream of mine for when I own a house. I want on my own flat top.
I get having a flat top, but you were like, we got the Benihana thing, and I'm like, okay, we're on Benihana. I'm only talking about Benihana. Flapjacks on a flatbed, I get it. I get that.
The flat top brings you Waffle House. It brings you Benihana.
Whoa, calm down.
Barbecue.
First off, let's let the chat chime in on Waffle House. So everybody say your piece about Waffle House. You guys need to calm down with Benihana and we're talking about foodies, and somehow we got derailed.
No,
because don't confuse foodies with food snobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
That's just like eating anything.
Because sometimes
I love the shit out of some caviar, but I love.
I will tell you that
we were talking about Waffle House, and nope.
Oh my God, you're crazy! I flipped some steak into my dog's mouth using a spatula right off the grill. Boom, right in his mouth.
Yeah.
I don't think that counts.
You just wanted theatrics. That's theatrics.
Yeah,
if I said I flipped it into one of my kids' mouths, would that be better?
Your dog was fully ready for that shrimp. The second you walk through the door, he'll be ready again. You throw anything, those dogs will catch it.
My favorite is the people who get nervous who are at the table and the shrimp's coming and they're like, "Oh no, it's my turn!" And it's like the people who are like,
"Yeah, oh yeah."
Oh my God.
The 9 people on your table, but all the other surrounding tables that are waiting to see whether or not that shrimp is going into your mouth or into your eye.
The DJ JoJo. That is probably hands down the best comment probably in this entire show.
Yeah. The theatrics at Waffle House at 3 a.m. is way better.
And I would agree with him. I have been down south and I have seen those theatrics.
I agree with Rama Rich over here. I get mine smothered and covered as well. That's my favorite way to get my hash browns. Yep. Cheese, onions, maybe a little jalapeno in there.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh.
Gravy. Love some gravy.
All that,
All right.
$3.
Gravy.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, all right. Of course, that tangent one we've gone off on. That's all right.
Well-
That's what we do here. So we were talking about True Blood, and now let's fast forward to today, or let's not fast forward to today. Let's talk about how you first started on Law and Order. Can you tell us that story? How that came about and how it morphed into again something way bigger than it was supposed to be?
Yeah, it was something that actually was much like the True Blood audition. Was like a very insignificant process, meaning it wasn't like I did all this stuff over and over again, having these phone calls and meetings. And I got the audition and it said, recurring character, possible series regular. And I was in LA, and so they asked me to submit a tape to New York. So I worked with my coach and just put together a tape and do it in like an hour. I sent it in, and at this point, I actually had not worked for like 18 months. So I was like not enthused about anything. I was like over it. I had taken this position with a cannabis company, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but like it started moving into a world where I felt like what you got, like the merit you put into something was, equal to what you got out of it. And that's not the way acting works. You can work your ass off and you don't necessarily get anything. So this merit doesn't really matter. And that was like a hard thing for me to deal with at that time. So I submitted this tape. I'm like, yeah, the role sounds cool. And like a week or two later, I got a call that like, hey, you're still in the running for this role. We're interested in knowing about your dates, blah, blah, blah. And then I got a call that I got it. And what's crazy is that my boyfriend, who's my fiance now, he had not worked in 18 months either. And he got a call 2 days before that, or the day before that he had booked a series regular role. And
Wow.
we booked these jobs within 48 hours of each other. And we were like, what the fuck? And then we were like, well, moving to New York. Great. Like, because we talked about it forever, but it was like, you can't move to New York till you're rich. Or do you have a job? Like, right? Like, it's like, you can't just move to New York. LA, you can be broke pretty easily. New York, that's hard.
So his show films in New York too?
His show filmed in Orlando. They're doing a series version of Tom Wolfe's The Right Stuff. So the movie that they did back in the day, now they're doing a episodic version of it. It's by Nat Geo. It's going to be out on Disney Plus in the fall. But so he shot in Orlando, and I came to New York last July, and once I did a few episodes and they called me and said, we want you to stay on the main cast. And I cried wherever I was, just sitting there like baby, and was like, oh my God, thank you. Like I was just very ugly crying. And I started, and I knew that I was staying on. So now I'm just eager to get back to work because I have this momentum going. And that's, there's many downsides to the pandemic for people, and it's all relative. But that was a little bit hard to all of a sudden be like, so like, you get the job of my life, and let's just bring it all to a halt. Like,
well, I was going to ask, did you guys so you guys had put seasons, like you had got rather shows done, episodes done, and then everything just came to a screeching halt?
Yes, we were in the middle of shooting an episode when everything shut down. Like I worked on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday I got a call right before my call time. And they were like, hold on, we're not really sure if we're going to work today. And that was March 12th. And then they said, oh, you're not coming in today. And then Friday was like, you're not coming in today. And then by Monday it was like, you're not coming in for the foreseeable future. That was March, what is that, 13th, 14th, 16th. So, and we don't know when we'll come back, hopefully in the next couple months, but depends on numbers, depends on what Cuomo wants to do.
Sure.
So now we just kind of sit tight and
So I want to ask the chat, how many of you guys watch Law and Order? Doesn't have to be SVU. It can be any of the different franchises inside that Law and Order
all 44
world.
of them.
Because I am going to put my buddies here, I'm going to put their business in the street and tell you that Neil and Zilla have never watched an episode of Law and Order.
I hadn't really watched it regularly or anything.
So I know that Ice-T has been one of them. I mean, I know that. Like,
you never stayed in a hotel? Don't you flip between Forensic Files and Law and Order when you're in a hotel?
No,
I'm telling you right now, I have been in a hotel for 2 weeks. I have watched 15 episodes of Law and Order at least, and I've never turned on the TV once where at least one of them has been on. I haven't seen you yet. It's all like old ones. I don't even know who's on the show anymore. Like I don't really watch the new ones. I kind of watch reruns, but now I'm gonna have to.
You don't have to, but
I have to.
you might like it.
I would. I hope so.
It's definitely on my to-do list. No, I mean, listen, there is no denying the cultural impact that Law and Order. I mean, that franchise has been on the air for at least
30 years?
As far as I can remember, 20, 30 years in multiple incarnations with multiple casts. So that thing is a juggernaut. There's no denying it. I'm just saying that I'm culturally deprived, and for whatever reason, I've missed it. And now I have a reason to go and check it out. So I will. Mr. Swin says I was forced to watch it by an ex.
I tend to watch shows like that. That it's usually I usually like get into it towards the end, if that makes any sense. Like I'll go back. Grey's Anatomy. I'm gonna go ahead and admit it.
What?
Grey's Anatomy. I didn't watch it at all, and then all of a sudden one day I watched one episode, went back, and I crushed all the way through it. Sopranos, same thing. The Wire, same thing. The
I don't
whole
know if
thing
Grey's
was
Anatomy
off.
deserves to be in the same category as Sopranos and The Wire. Just gonna.
I don't
I'm
know
with you.
about Jamie. You're supposed to be on my side throughout this entire show.
No. No.
No
that
matter
might be
what.
possible, but come Benihana tangent, you lost me.
Yeah.
No.
But
But
it's time to let Neil know that he's been replaced by Jamie.
all of a sudden my window disappears.
It's just replaced with an onion volcano image.
It's a YouTube clip of a loop of just the heartbeat.
Oh.
No, but I'll always watch like those big shows. I'll always wait for it to almost end, and then I'll just start from the beginning and just crush right through it. Because if it's that good, I know that I'm just going to get roped into it, and I'll just watch all the way through it. But I'm usually late to the party. I was late to the party for Sopranos, Wire, Oz. I watched
great
all of
shows.
those. All of those things were done by the time I started watching.
I think for me too. Like Breaking Bad, I watched like maybe there were a few episodes left, so I basically crystal methed the show and watched like all of it in like 3 weeks in time for the finale.
I hear you. The Wire, I watched that when Blockbuster was still around. When you say
Wow.
crystal meth the show, you have not seen a guy rummaging through running around Manhattan to all the Blockbusters looking for season 3 of the DVD. I was like scrambling.
Binging used to take effort.
Yeah, right.
It made the show that much better. So that
The
was
Americans is another really good one if you haven't watched that.
What is it?
Which one?
The Americans. I'm rewatching that now.
I got to like season 3 and I had to like stop.
That's
It had nothing to do with
that's
the
one on
show.
FX, right?
It's what?
Was that on FX?
Yes, and now it's on Amazon. It's so good. And anything on the show that's all based off real officers. So like with little tweaks, pretty much anything that you see on that show actually happened throughout the like US-Russian Cold War conflict.
Oh, that's interesting. I love the cast in there. Such a good show.
It was slow for me in the beginning, and then like as you get more into it, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I love it so much.
So, Jamie, I think I read somewhere that you don't own a TV.
So I'm not really sure. That was like one of those things where they're like things you might know about Jamie Hyder, where they pull shit from random places.
Yeah. So is
And
that not
I
true?
don't have a TV, but like that was so long ago, and now I definitely have a TV. And
Okay.
but people are like, but those same things are like, she's a millionaire. According to the internet, she may have $1 to $5 million.
I think I read the same article.
According to the internet, I have $1 to $5 million. I mean, it's like,
I like the like, window. I like that they give you like a little. It could be 1, could be 5.
Oh.
No, wrong, very wrong.
Hey, wait, so
we
which
should go
one
through
is
that
it?
list and like have Jamie verify those. Like, so are you a millionaire?
No.
Do you have a TV?
I'd like
So-
to be a millionaire. I'd like to get
She
in.
does-
Yeah.
She does have a TV.
Well, that's
So
good.
she was a millionaire, but she bought a TV, so now she's not a millionaire anymore.
Yeah.
That's
Actually-
that's
To be fair, it had been so long since I'd owned a TV that I had no idea how cheap they were.
Dude, they're
I was like,
ridiculous.
I'm not spending like $1,500 on. I was like, I'm not spending $2,000 on like, and everyone's like, get a Costco. It's like $500. It was like I was still like in my mind TVs. Like I realized I had never bought a TV. Like I lived with people who had TVs. So when I came time to buy one, I was like, it's just such a waste of so much money as somebody who works in television. and then I literally went to Costco and I was like, oh, all right, cool. I'm gonna have a TV now.
Hey, I just remembered, you guys, that we forgot to do A Knight's Tale, which I know you've probably been like dying to tell us your craziest story about a night out, a night on the set, or any insane story. So let's get that out of the way real quick before we dive into the next topic. So this is A Knight's Tale with Jamie Hyder. Fancy graphics and stuff we have here.
Still trying to figure out where it fits.
So no pressure, but tell us about a fun or crazy or
I had one
whatever.
in mind, and then we started talking about Comic-Con, and it reminded me of another night. So I'm not sure. I guess as far as like crazy party stories, at Comic-Con for Call of Duty, I had worked on a video game years ago called Killzone, and it was for like one of the first games for like PS3 or something. And I played a character in that, and I worked with David Harewood in that game from Homeland and a lot of other awesome stuff. And so David and I have known each other for a very long time. I walk into Call of Duty, the first thing we do is training. We have 2 days of training in this hangar at Santa Monica Airport where we're learning all these tactical stuff and working with Navy SEALs. David Harewood walks in. I'm like, oh, shit. So we have such a good time shooting it together again. We all go to Comic-Con. We end up at whatever party, and I can't remember the venue right now, but DMX was performing. So DMX performed and then went on a long rant about God or something. And we were like, well, this was kind of got weird. The night ended and we still had this bottle of tequila. So I took it out of the club with me. So David Harewood and I walked back drinking tequila from this bottle. And there was a train that had stopped and was blocking the way to get back across to the hotel. And so this train had just stopped. We're like, maybe it's just here. And so we're like climbing on. I'm literally standing on like the ladder of the train, holding this Patron bottle. Like, and we're like just yelling and being so dumb because we just like when we get together, we just act like such goofballs. All of a sudden, the train starts moving, and I'm holding on to it, and I have a Patron bottle in the other hand, and David Harewood's standing there looking at me, laughing, standing like in between where I am in the tracks, and he's like, "Oh my God. I have to jump off." The train finally goes. He and I run into the hotel, tackle some inflatable animal that's in there. I don't know. That it just reminded me of that night when we started talking about Comic-Con because it's just like scenarios that you'll never be in again, and people who, you know, have other obligations and things like that, and like, and you get to you're there for work, but I think Activision had just actually, that was the night they gave us a dinner at Nobu. Like they got a private room and treated all of us to Nobu, like, which is the difference between video games and television and things.
Yeah. So Marco Painter just reminded us that today is National Tequila Day. So that goes very well with your story.
Or as I like to call it, Friday.
Yeah, same. I can go get some.
Every day is National Tequila Day in this
I
house.
was gonna say from my morning show, it's pretty much it's every day. It's quarantine. Quarantine is tequila day.
Exactly. But the other story I was going to tell, I'll just tell it really quickly, is that I was shooting. I'm a huge Nationals fan. I follow Nationals baseball. I grew up in DC, so I was Orioles fan, and Nats when they came to the DC. So during the World Series, I was working. And so during the final game, I was on set having to work, and every time they called cut, I'd run, and they had one of the monitors up with the game on it, and they were giving me updates. Like one of the crew members would just yell like what the new score was when they'd call cut, and then we'd like go into another shot. And I ran home and I listened to us winning the World Series in the transpo van going home. And I got home and I was like freaking the fuck out. But I was by myself because I was in New York and like I wasn't with any of my friends. I was like having this most cathartic moment like ever. And I just run to a bar and there's no one at the bar either. And I took tequila shots with the fucking bartender, went home, went to sleep, and got up and worked. But as far as an on-set night, I was like trying to focus on work, but every 2 seconds I was checking the score, checking, the stats. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in New York, if the Yankees aren't in the World Series, the bars, nobody cares.
Yeah, well, people are pissed at the Yankees right now. So.
Sorry. My undefeated San Diego Padres. Granted, they haven't played a game this season yet, but
hence
this is
the reason why they're undefeated
later today.
Where'd Jamie go?
I think those were fighting words. I think Jamie went to go get her Nationals regalia.
Oh boy. So
yeah, she did. I do remember when I don't know whether they won the World Series or they ended up in the World Series, but I was looking at your Insta story, Jamie, and you were full on bawling.
Oh, that was probably when the Caps won the Stanley Cup.
Was it?
That might have been when the Caps won the Stanley Cup. Equally as emotional.
I was like, "Whoa, she is."
I definitely was bawling when the Nationals won, and I might have posted that then too.
I think I'm pretty sure that was it. That was like pretty much. Yeah. I think it was last year. I remember I was like, "She okay?" Because I usually watch Insta stories without volume. So all I'm seeing is you crying like crazy. I'm just like, whoa, is she okay?
Poor Jamie's getting, she's crying uncontrollably
at this. City must have gotten to her.
I've never been happier.
She's celebrating their win.
Yeah. But it's also because I know nothing about sports. So I just see a woman crying and I'm like, oh shit. New York must really get to her right now.
Woman was crying because the Nationals won the World Series for the first time since 1932, maybe.
Wow.
And they were the Expos.
Well, congratulations.
We're still the reigning champs as far as I'm concerned.
So you're a huge sports fan.
I am. I don't know like a lot of stats and things like that, or like I can't like name 100 players, but like sure. I grew up with my dad having season tickets to every sporting team in our area, so I love going to sporting events. Like I also love hot dogs and beer. It all works out. But I love watching people do something that they've literally dedicated their entire life to doing. So the competition part is amazing, but I can also stand back and be like, gosh, like this person has spent so many hours doing this thing that they're out here doing that we all paid money to like watch them do. And it's just fun,
And ballpark nachos don't suck. I mean, let's be real. Like
there's a hack for that. My friend taught me this. He gets chopsticks and you eat nachos with chopsticks.
They don't end up all over your fingers.
It's the greatest thing ever.
What the?
I will say
I'm okay with this. This is pretty good.
This is terrible.
The San Diego Padres, or as DJ Marco Penta referred to them as the San Diego Pobres, my poor little unwinnable team. For as bad as a team that we field year after year, Petco Park has to be one of the best places in the world to watch a baseball game. Well, I guess in the country, awesome. But yeah.
No. Sorry, you're wrong. They suck. There's no energy in that stadium ever.
It's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, I'm okay. All right, Justin.
I'm angry old guy today. Angry old guy today.
I think Sports Illustrated named it the top ballpark in the country last year.
Oh, get out of here. That's insane. There's nothing like Yankee Stadium. I don't care what anyone says.
You actually just doubled in age just now. Actually,
that's not possible. I'd be dead.
You doubled in New York and you doubled in age.
You know what? Nothing beats Yankees.
There's a reason why, Justin. With all due respect, I believe that there's a reason why that so many people travel to San Diego to follow their favorite team. They're not traveling to Fenway. They're not traveling to see them in Arizona. They're coming to San Diego because the ballpark is amazing.
Because San Diego has the best weather in America.
and it's an amazing ballpark.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Nope.
It's like Jenna agrees with me.
I actually want to see if the rest of the people in the chat agree. But
Look, I have nothing against Petco Park. I worked a block away from Petco Park for 6 years.
it definitely sounds like you
It
do.
was a pretty charging response.
I'm like, it definitely sounds like you do.
All right.
Eric
sounds-
DeBoard, who used to work at Petco Park, says, I agree. It's
Eric
a great
DeBoard doesn't know shit.
Wow. Sounds like Petco Park ate your baby.
We'd like to welcome you all back to the Angry Guy in the Club podcast.
Wait, that's not what this show is? Is this a different show?
Dude.
Jesus.
Show.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Eric. I'm not sorry because I haven't yelled at you. And when's the last time we worked together? Like 5 years ago. I haven't yelled at you since then. So you're probably, you probably missed it a little bit.
Jesus.
All right, let's pivot. Let's pivot.
Yeah.
I have to. I gotta like get off my angry train here. All right. So I saw an Instagram post of yours, Jamie, where you talked about. We're gonna get a little serious here for a minute. You talked about playing a cop on TV, and then being very vocal about current events and what's going on. With everything going on in the world right now, and especially in the bigger cities like New York and LA, and obviously it started in Minneapolis. So tell us about that. It's kind of weird that, I mean, I guess Ice-T started out as what was the name of the song? Cop Killer. And then he goes and he becomes a cop on TV. He's incredible at that role. Like, I couldn't imagine anybody else doing that.
I know.
But so how does that, how do you deal with that? Like, do people give you shit?
People haven't really given me shit. I think I've mostly gotten support for not allowing my current role to sort of influence the way that I express myself during this time of like very complex social change. For me, it's a no-brainer, and perhaps it should not have been as much of a no-brainer. Like, for me to go out and march and go to all these protests and things is like I that's just what I want to do. And then it was sort of an afterthought, like, wait, do I need to like be careful? And that was more like in my head, I'm like, am I gonna create negative publicity for the show, and that's my job, and like, am I supposed to care about that, or am I, because it's like, you get a platform by being successful in this industry. And for me, that's a platform that I typically use to voice things for other causes and everything. I'm not like really like a close by the pool kind of Instagrammer. It's not my value system. Like, if it's yours, great. It's not mine. So I started to realize upon doing a couple of interviews that there was some sort of a line that I needed to make sure that I was at least aware of. So even if I was going to choose to say something that maybe could be used then to reflect poorly on the show, as far as a point I'm making would incriminate the show in some way, I had to be aware of that. But when it comes down to it, I'm also in a unique position where my character actually, I think, represents a new viewpoint on the show, within the police officers, within the spectrum of police officers. They always kind of describe her similar like an AOC type who's coming in and bringing this like younger and far more vocal position to a squad room of people who are typically just kind of going about their lives and going home to their family. And so I feel like for me, my character and myself kind of were aligned in that, and I didn't feel like it betrayed how people see me on television to watch me be a part of this in a weird way. With that said, it's still my job, right? Like, I still have to be aware of it, but I've been lucky that I work with people who are as vocal as I am. I never felt like what I was doing was something that wasn't agreed with, especially because you have someone like Ice-T setting the barometer for, like, he's so vocal about everything.
He's incredible on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, I know. I love it. I just sit back and just like scroll and read it and die. And he and I spoke a few times. He like knew I was out there in the streets and everything. And, for him, this is essentially like his third race riot of sorts. He was there. He was young and in Watts when that was happening, and then he was there in LA in the 90s, and then he was here for this. And, he just kind of said, I see you out there. I see you out there, and it was just gave me love for it. And I think as long as I'm never crossing the line that he sets, I'm always good.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
But my showrunner has been very vocal about a lot of aspects of this stuff. And, I certainly, there's a little bit of risk involved with what I did just because of the nature of my character. But for me, I'll never, ever compromise values like that I believe in, nor will I ever refuse to use my platform for something that could help other people. I'm a privileged white person, even though I'm Middle Eastern. It's like, I'm a privileged white person. That's how I live my life. So literally the least I can do is take this platform that's been given to me through my very hard work, but nonetheless, probably through privilege, and use it towards something that's super meaningful, that's only going to happen like right now, if we're lucky, if we can get it done. But it's a very unique circumstance.
I find one thing you just said interesting. Well, I shouldn't. I find a lot of it interesting.
Whoa.
But one thing that man, I am so bad at this. So no, but one thing you said is a conversation I've had with Zilla a number of times, and you just said, even though you're Middle Eastern, you consider yourself a privileged white person. And Zilla feels the same way. He said that to me before, and it's like.
It's how you're perceived too. That's kind of the of that, right? Like that's how somebody sees. Granted, sure, we can get discriminated against, right, for being Middle Eastern. That was a whole phase as well. My dad got yanked out of line at every fucking airport I ever went to with him, and got his own security search done. Like there's that element, but when the world sees us as, or at least in my point of view, as white versus black, it's all about that experience, right? We've not had that experience. I haven't had that experience.
Right.
I mean, I consider myself beige. I mean, I'm like somewhere in the middle. Like I'm not exactly white. I mean, maybe it's khaki. I don't know. But
we're mixed, or I'm mixed, or I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm a first generation, my mom is half Armenian and half Palestinian. My dad, both of his parents on their side, both Palestinian. I'm a first generation kid of immigrants, and, it's been a little bit easier, but I've also had, my little brushes with, like being in high school in the middle of the first Gulf War, it's different.
Yeah.
And that is nothing in comparison to what people live with day in and day out in America. So I just personally applaud you. You have a voice, and you're finding ways to use it and project it outwards. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think we need more of it in this world, where if we see something that's wrong, then, we need to say something about it.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Marco Penta's asking a question. Do you think, and I think he's asking in regards to your activism, do you think it'll affect your future roles?
I hope so, in a positive way. I hope people know that they can trust me to constantly conduct myself in a way that at least I deem to be the human way to conduct myself, the decent human way. So somebody should trust that. Would I do well in an environment where I'm being told exactly what to say and exactly what to do? Probably not. Sorority was never really my game, right? But I'm also not really ever cast as a role where somebody expects that of me either. I think that by expressing who I am and what I represent, hopefully that should help people learn how to cast me and how to utilize my personal persona and in a way that helps with whatever character it is that they're asking me to play, if that makes sense.
And it's kind of interesting, though, because, a couple of the characters that you're most well known for, I mean, your current character on Law & Order SVU and Lieutenant Nora Salter are both, Arab Americans. They are Middle Eastern. Like they toe the line between both worlds, which it's really reflective of who you are as a person, right?
Yes. And I played Latina for a long time. Like that was always, because I was always ethnically ambiguous. So like you're saying about feeling beige, like I'm not like white, but it's like that classification is weird because I guess we're technically Caucasian, but
Right.
there's like this other cultural side to it too. So, it's I feel very grateful for the opportunities I've had to actually play my own heritage. It was SVU. I was slated as a Latina character, and when I got past, Warren, our showrunner, called me, and we talked about my heritage, and that was super important to him to include that and to change the profile of the character to match who I am as a person. And just even down to like I wear this Arabic necklace that says my character's name, Catriona, on it, that a lot of people ask me about, and I actually went into my fitting wearing a necklace that had my name in Arabic. It's a Jamie in Arabic that my aunt had gotten me from Lebanon, and wardrobe loved it, and then they had one made for my character. So there's like very specific details like that that are even pulled from who we are as people.
That's very, very cool.
And one thing that I'm really excited about when I go in and check it out is, I also know firsthand because in a totally different realm, I'm connected into, the industry and most people that come from the place that we come from are not normally projected in the most positive of lights.
Yep.
So to see a person that comes from our part of the world
as an opinionated
playing something positive, right? But and playing a cop that's out there trying to do the right thing, trying to be impactful in this world, it shows that's really what life on the ground is every single day for for the vast majority of us. So again, applaud you and your efforts and the work that you've done. It's awesome.
Thank you. And my character's bi now, so I was like, wow, you guys checked all the boxes with my character. Actually, when I was doing interviews, they joked. They're like, all right, Jamie, you're down to two episodes now if you don't stop doing interviews. And I wrote, and they said, yeah, good luck firing your bi Lebanese character. It's been an awesome opportunity to get to represent myself as not a battered wife or someone in control of a man or a terrorist or,
Right. Or any one of the other stereotypes that we're, known for. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. So another thing that you that I think you're very passionate about is cannabis reform. Mm-hmm. And I'll be the first to admit I don't know exactly what that means. I would love to hear about that because I've been having these conversations actually the last couple of days. Just because it's just being around New York, it's everywhere now. And I moved out of New York 15 years ago, and it wasn't like this. And now it's like you walk down the halls of a hotel, and that's all you smell. And so I've had conversations. So what does that mean? Tell me like what you do and how you are trying to change things.
As far as my active participation, it's like I work with a company that has a product that helps with THC overdoses. It uses CBD to help bring down THC highs. So if you eat too much of an edible, it's like a little antidote type thing you can take. It can help you kind of with those reactions. So I work on the business side with that in that way. But as far as advocacy for cannabis reform, it's such a multi-pronged thing because you're talking about prison reform. You're talking about people who have gone in with minor offenses and had their entire lives derailed because of a minor possession of marijuana. It all goes back to the fact that marijuana, when it was classified as such a harmful drug next to crystal meth and heroin and everything else, back when they had the war on drugs and essentially needed to claim that it was all under the same umbrella. And obviously anyone who's smoked weed and assume it's not the same as doing fucking heroin or any of these other drugs. It was classified as such a harmful substance, essentially, that it just got so stigmatized that we never even really had the chance to study it the way that we need to study it to figure out all of the possibilities that all of the components of cannabis, both hemp and marijuana, have in the healthcare sphere, in the mental health sphere. I work with veterans who take uppers in the morning and downers at night, and they could smoke sativa in the morning and smoke indica at night and not be damaging their livers and their kidneys and giving themselves heart attacks and things because they're on all these prescription meds that are taking their body and back and forth, or people dealing with epilepsy that are taking these drugs that are going to kill their organs before they ever see relief in their epileptic symptoms. It's about freeing it from stigma. It's about freeing it from any sort of legal status so that it can be studied for medicine, so people aren't going to jail. No one's ever, like, alcohol is legal. I mean, and marijuana for a long time was not. How many people have really beat their spouse when they're super high? It's like alcohol makes you do such fucked up things, and it's just been legal. And there's not any good side to alcohol unless you're trying to find a natural blood thinner, But it's fucking legal. So it's like marijuana just got tagged as this terrible thing, and it's totally shortchanged us as citizens. We should have access to it. We should have choices about our healthcare. We shouldn't be taking prescription medications when there's another option that could be more gentle on our body. It just is a substance that is so useful. I mean, hemp helped with the success of World War II because they made all the ropes for all the ships out of hemp. And there's so many things. You make clothing, you make shoes, you make food, you make supplements. CBD can help with the impacts of CTE. It can help reverse concussion damage as well as provide additional cushioning for your brain to prevent future damage from concussions. It can, not to mention the basic things we used it for to begin with were appetite, stimulant in AIDS patients and cancer patients. I mean, cancer patients has the most compromised immune systems of almost anyone you're going to see, and they offer them marijuana. And if there was all these terrible things in it, you would see it, in that population. So I think everyone should have it as a choice. I've been prescribed Xanax, Adderall, Strattera, Concerta, you name it, since I was a kid for anxiety and ADHD. And it wasn't until I started smoking weed. I mean, I smoked weed before I ever drank alcohol. I smoked weed when I was 12. I'm not proud of it, but that's just what happened in where I grew up. We'd all go back at the creek and share a cigarette, and then somebody would have randomly a phone. Take one hit of weed and feel crazy. But all of these things I'm prescribed to take are actually killing my body and killing my ability to do my job. I can't take a lorazepam for anxiety and then go access every single part of my emotional system and my mental system and not actually be able to express it. Those are meant to subdue things in your body and in your system. So I can smoke weed when I get home and chill, feel good, go to sleep, wake up and go to work. There's no residual effects. When I work, I don't need it because I need to fire on all cylinders, because you need to pay attention to 100 things at once. But when I'm at home trying to make dinner and I'm paying attention to 95,000 things, it's not so great of an experience. So instead of taking prescription medication, I smoke weed. So it's just a long-winded way of saying that it's just kind of free the weed. It's it can help so many people. There's drugs for children with epilepsy that they've proved finally that are made from cannabis that can take somebody from 200 seizures a month to 2. Yeah. And it's why are we letting people harm themselves? The elderly population, they could be spending the last few years of their life without all this pain. They wouldn't be dying of liver failure due to their arthritis medication if they were smoking weed to help with their arthritis and taking CBD pills to help with their arthritis. And then they might live longer because not only are they not in pain, so mentally it's not impacting them, but physically it's not killing their body. But we're hey, go be uncomfortable or take all these pain pills that are just going to kill you. Anyway.
Yeah.
And there's so much to it, there's so many sides to it. And it was a complete and utter failure by Reagan, by Nixon. It's all these, it just got labeled in a certain way.
Well, absolutely. The war on drugs certainly put us, it disproportionately affected certain communities, and we're still living with the ramifications today. And a lot of that is what we're seeing out on the streets right here and right now in cities like New York and in Portland. We're finally having the conversation that we've needed to have for years about prison reform. There's I don't understand how, there are folks that can, the Bernie Madoffs of the world can, take billions of dollars from working families, and yet, a guy gets busted with a dime bag and he's serving, 2 consecutive life sentences in a federal lockup. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
For something that's legal in some states right now, and
True.
people
Absolutely.
are doing the things just out in the open and legally, and people are in jail for years because they did the same thing.
Yep.
That's amazing to me.
And also, like we've all worked in nightclubs for years, Justin, Neil, myself, and I've never once seen a fight break out from a bunch of people that were stoned. Never.
No.
Like, you know, if there's a group of people in the corner of the club that are just, you know, high as a kite, they're just hanging out thinking about pizza.
Yeah, the reason you want to keep them out is because they're not spending any money.
Right. You know. But I'm just saying, like they're not the violent types. I've never seen it happen. I don't know about you guys, but never.
And it's also there's 0 cases of people ODing from marijuana.
Yeah.
Right.
You can get fucked up. You can think that shit. You can think that you have just turned into a puddle and you will never go back to your regular self. But like it's gonna end in a couple hours.
So you mentioned a couple minutes ago that you do some work with veterans. And fun fact, I was scrolling your Instagram and I saw you with you had gone on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And I was looking at your hat, and the aircraft carrier you were on is the aircraft carrier that my ex-wife did a tour on. She was in the Navy, which is hysterical. And I was like, wait, I know that place. And then I asked her, she's like, yeah, that's the one. And her name is Jamie too, which is, it's weird because like when I say your name, like when we were married, I never called her Jamie. It was like, you know,
Right.
whatever, babe or whatever I called her.
Yeah.
So even now when I call her by her name, it's still bizarre 3 years later. But
Yeah.
every time I say your name, I'm like, it's so weird to say that name.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it does a little side note. But so, yeah, shut up, Neil. I'm not a professional. This is, until we have like 100 of these in the books, I'm not considering myself a professional. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do with different veterans organizations?
Yes. I started with Call of Duty. I did some outreach for the Navy. They kind of asked me if I'd be interested in doing some PR stuff and working with the Public Affairs Office. Because I was, as you said before, like I was the first female lead they'd had at the Call of Duty franchise. And I played this character that was essentially a melding of a Top Gun pilot and a Navy SEAL. And women are not really, you know, Navy SEALs in the military. So the Navy was very interested in using my image as this character to help promote the idea of women in the military as successful contributors. So I would tour around, and the idea was that, you know, they thought that it would increase morale especially for the women who were serving. And a lot of the women that I met said that they felt that seeing my character in the game would help a lot of men accept them in their positions, which was a completely like humbling experience. That they were like, "We want you to be the poster child for the Navy," and I'm like, "But I'm just pretending. I do not deserve to be anywhere near the company of these people, you know, and it turned out to be the most incredible experience of my life. I went on the USS Carl Vinson and I stayed for 3 days on the aircraft carrier. I flew an hour and a half off the coast of San Diego from Coronado and flew in and landed on an aircraft carrier that was like 200 miles off the coast of Mexico. Got off the plane that I had gotten in on land, and all of a sudden I was now in the middle of the ocean. We got off the plane. There's no windows. It's just like a metal box. And then spent those days on the aircraft carrier just getting to see how everything worked. And everyone else on the trip was all like writers, showrunners, creators, people who were there to research. And I was there to just kind of hang out with everybody and talk about the game and give away a bunch of Call of Duty stuff. And so it was super fun. And from there, I just said, whatever you guys want me to do, I'm down. You know, so I've done Fleet Week rides, and I've been on submarines, and I've gotten to, you know, I went to Camp Pendleton and shot some stuff and got to like work with the, you know, the Marine Corps there. And anytime I go somewhere, like basically if I want to go to a base, you know, I've spent time with the Naval Weapons Group at Seal Beach. I did that most recently and got to go in their virtual shooting range where they ran all these drills and everything, and they had us like shooting at targets, and you know, I've gotten to shoot crazy big weapons, like Krinkovs that shoot fire out of the fucking end of them, like, Navy SEAL tactical training. And through all of it, I got to meet so many active duty people that I was like, our veteran system is in such shit condition that I just felt like it's the least I could do as a civilian to help improve their transition to come into civilian life. So a lot of the organizations I work with focus on that. The Call of Duty Endowment, which is 100% funded by Activision, and every penny they earn goes towards a veteran. It costs about $500 or $600 through their organization to place a veteran in a full-time, high-paying job post-service. So they focus on veteran employment and services related to that. And then I work with the Student Veterans of America, and I just did my 4th year with them. I MC a big 2,000 person veteran banquet wherever it is in the country. And they're an organization that has 1,500 chapters across the country that provides assistance to veterans who are going into higher education post-service. So a lot of them went in when they're 18 and they've served, and now they want to come out and go to college. So you're already older than the average college student. You're typically in the reserves, so you're managing that. You can get called up at any minute. And you're dealing with whatever the trauma in life experiences you've had while you're serving. And so this organization provides these liaisons on campus, these organizations, so all the veterans on that campus all hang out together and do projects together and essentially provide them with support, which is super important. It just makes me so fucking sick to my stomach to think about the way that people are convinced to join the service. I sat in the cafeteria in high school and watched my friends who couldn't afford college all sign up, and they're told that they're going to be heroes and it's going to be this thing. Then you go and do it and you come back. No one understands what you've been through. People are giving you a hard time because you're not the same person you were when you went in. And they can't understand your experience, so that it becomes frustrating for the people in your life. And you, to rehash it for somebody and have them not understand your experience still, even at that point, is so painful. So we need to work harder to create this bridge that says, hey, we know that you went through some shit. You think about someone who saw someone get shot in their neighborhood, and you'd understand that person got fucked up for their life because they saw someone get shot. Now imagine seeing multiple people get shot in a war, and you're watching all this carnage, and you've chosen to be there to serve your country, and what you're getting out of it is this experience that is going to mess with your brain for the rest of your life. And you get out and you're not given the support that you need. You're handed a ton of medications. There needs to be more money. There needs to be more therapy. And we need to, as civilians, there's so much that we can do to help the transition of veterans around us, whether they're your neighbor, your coworker, your friend. Hey man, I can't imagine what that experience was like. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. Acknowledging these things really, really, really helps. Because can you imagine being in Vietnam and you didn't even choose to be there. You were drafted. You go fight a war that is one of the nastiest wars that we had, as far as close up and close, you're dealing hand-to-hand combat. It doesn't matter, there were wars before that may have seemed more gory because we didn't have the right medical stuff. Vietnam, you're talking hand-to-hand combat. And you come back to the country and everybody fucking hates you. I cannot, it makes me get emotional. Think about what that must have felt like, an entire generation of people who came back to people who hated them for something they didn't even choose to do.
Yeah.
And that's obviously an extreme example, but for me, I could never sign up for what they signed up for. So the least that I can do while I live this privileged life, even just basic rights, is to say, how can I make sure that that not only that I understand that you went through something that I'll never understand, but how can I help you? What is it that I can do for you? And if showing up at this banquet and telling the people who are there that I see them, I hear them, and I care about what they're going through does something for them, I can't fucking understand that because I'm just me. But if they're telling me it does, I'll do it every year, So it's just, I don't know. I just feel I've lost friends, when I was in my 20s, people were dying, surfing in Afghanistan and surfing all over, Iraq. It's Fallujah. It's crazy. So as you can tell, I feel very about that. But it's because I got to hang out with these people. And you know what I realized doing all the publicity for Call of Duty? is that not one of these people has any part of them that's any different than you or I. There's not a part of their brain that's different. There's not a body part that they have that we don't. There's absolutely nothing that makes their makeup any different than ours, and yet they're the ones out there doing this thing. So that for me was just like, you know, these people aren't different. They're not all these hard-ass military types, you know? They're just human beings who are in this incredibly complex position. So we need to all take time to think about it, because it's literally the least that we can do, you know?
Yeah, and there's this stigma that it's kind of nobody wants to talk about mental health and mental illness. It's a crazy thing. If someone tells you have cancer, or someone has cancer, it's like, oh my God, and there's a conversation about it, and there's a GoFundMe, and there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
But if someone tells you that they have some kind of a mental illness, whatever it might be, it's like some people are uncomfortable talking about it. Some people kind of don't want to admit that it even exists. That they're like, oh, they just need to
Get over it.
Get over it. Be more disciplined. Go, do whatever. And it's like,
Suck it up.
yeah,
I'm doing it makes you happy,
and they don't. People, a lot of people don't understand that. The people that have these illnesses, they don't want to have these illnesses. They just want to be, quote unquote, normal like anybody else. And it's. You would think that in 2020 there would be more resources and there would be a more open conversation about this.
Yeah.
But there's just not. And I mean, look, I put this in our notes to talk about before the show. And it's the only reason I bring it up is because maybe this whole Kanye West situation can bring some awareness to people, because I mean, to me it's a very sad situation. He's obviously having a serious mental break or whatever the term is. I guess he's been diagnosed as bipolar. He's obviously having an episode, and here's a guy that has all the resources in the world to get help, and without the support of either his family or friends or somebody, like, there's not going to be a happy ending to this or a happy outcome until he gets real help, and people have to realize that and put aside any biases they have to help someone like that. And hopefully, I mean, some good comes out of this. I mean, you could agree with the guy on other stuff, not agree with him. I mean, unquestionably, he's one of the most talented people to ever live in a number of ways. And here's a guy that he can't function in life right now. So I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just something. It's a conversation that needs to be had. And we're gonna, on future episode of the show, at least one, maybe more than one, we're going to have these conversations with some people that are as Jamie is working to help in these situations, because wow, it's really bad right now, especially with everything going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really know what else to say.
It's just like problem with social media is it just exacerbates these psychoses, because especially if you're dealing with a personality disorder that has made it so that you have lost touch with reality, and then there's all these people buying into what you feel is the version of reality that's real to you, and you have all these millions of people saying like, we're with you, like validating that over and over and over again, makes it even harder for somebody to realize they have a problem.
Right.
We all know people like that, right, who are celebrities or musicians or DJs or something like that, who are so surrounded by yes people that you don't know that if they're ever going to get the help they need, because too many people need them on their payroll. It's like, people like that. And it's like, when you're then at that level, like someone like him, too many people's well-being is dependent on him.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are educated, to really see the signs that what's happening isn't something we should be inspired by. And I think, unfortunately, his skewed version of reality just continues to get validated by his fan base. So that's like when using social media responsibly, that comes into a whole nother dimension. You know, it's like, you're really helping this person by feeding this beast, or, you know, are you willing to sacrifice caring about someone truly to be a part of some kind of a movement that you feel has value because someone told you in a magazine that you should care, you know, or 5 million other people are following them? It's created a value system issue. Social media has, I think.
It's just interesting because, you know, Kanye isn't the first, nor will he be the last person to ever have a meltdown in Hollywood or the music industry or whatever. But social media has given us the ability to watch it happen in real time. And sadly, there are folks that also feed on that. The point I'm getting to is I think the world is just a little devoid of some empathy. And I'm not saying specifically to Kanye, I'm saying in general. The world that we're in right now, a lot of people are hurting. And I think what we really need right now is, you know, if every person just took a moment and just looked inside and kind of just came to grips with the fact that they, you know, we could all benefit from a little bit more empathy for our fellow men, women, citizens, people of the world, I think we'd be in a much better place today than, tomorrow than we are today. But sadly, we're also in the me world. Sorry, I almost knocked over my microphone. Where everything kind of revolves around ourselves, and we forget that we're not alone in this world. That there are other people, and if we find ways to just kind of, I keep circling back to that word empathy. If we find ways to be more sympathetic, to find ways to be more empowering. We spoke about military servicemen and women who come back changed. I guess that's a good way to describe it. And yet we don't have any resources, or the resources that we have for them are fractional in regard to, let's say, what they would have in the active duty world. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we had some level of parity for the same, if we had the same level of enthusiasm and respect for people in uniform as they do when they're out of uniform, or rather when they're out of uniform than they do when they're actively serving, I think we would have a much, much different culture from folks that are, that have left the services. But sadly, we don't. And it takes citizens like the four of us and everybody in the chat room and everybody else that's watching on Twitch to stand up and say, you know what, we do need to do something. We do need to stand up. We need to look out for our brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, husbands, and wives, or whomever, in order to make our world a little bit better place. It starts with us.
Yeah, and I think people think if you don't have a corporation where you can hire veterans, if you don't have money to donate to a veteran organization, if you're not a doctor or a mental health specialist, that you don't have anything to offer. And that's something this whole process has taught me, that simply educating yourself, like you're saying, we don't know about PTSD. It's not just for those coming back who need to understand it. It's those in their lives that need to understand how this disease and how this trauma, impacts them. And I think that's part of it, right? It's not just them knowing what's happening to them, it's the people in their lives, so that you know how you can help and how you can not take it personally, or whatever side of that you fall on. But like you said, we need to do something, but more importantly, as civilians, we can. Go look up what kind of military crafts different branches of the military uses. See, how many people are actually stationed around the world. Just Google questions so that when you go talk to someone, I can't tell you how meaningful it is when I see someone from the military and I can talk to them about a C-2 Greyhound plane, or I can talk to them, about an ATAC or these different weapons or crafts that I've been on. And they're just like, holy crap, you know about anything in my world? And just that small bridge is so meaningful. And I see it every day. So if you can Google it, you can say, I don't really know what the Navy does. I don't really know what kind of boats they have. How many people are on these boats? Just look it up. So that if you meet a veteran, or if you have a neighbor or someone who is, you can say, dude, did you ever ride on one of those bloody balls? And they're going to be like, well, you said that wrong. Yes, I did. And it opens it up. So it's an easy thing for everyone to really practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess it's easier when you live in San Diego, because every one of your neighbors is, we have 7 military installations in San Diego County alone. We're home
Yep.
to the Pacific Fleet. We've got Camp Pendleton. We've got Coronado. We've got, you'll never see the submarines, but, they're here.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
So, Jamie, first of all, thanks for diving into all this with us. I think this is the first episode we've done where we've actually gotten to everything on our list, which is like a miracle. So the way that we end our show every week is, and I feel bad even pivoting to this now after the serious topic we just talked about, and we're gonna like talk about trivial things that piss us off and quote unquote grinds our gears. But that's how we end the show, and it'll be a good way to kind of send this off. So here we go. Here's grinds.
Love
Hey,
our
Neil,
graphics.
you're still here? All right. So, Jamie, as we said, this is the part of the show where we have some things that might piss us off a little bit, and it's not too serious most of the time. We've talked about how much we hate cyclists. That's how we came up with the Grinds My Gears. A friend of ours gave us that name. We normally, I have so many things I could talk about, so I try not to. Do you want to go first, last, in the middle? When do you want to go?
I'll go first.
Okay.
See, this is why we like you.
So something that annoys the shit out of me is like people's lack of spatial awareness, but specifically when people leave a store and they stop in front of the door of the store to like check their receipt, but they stop right in the middle of the fucking doorway, and it annoys the shit out of me. Like, or people who stop on the sidewalk and check something on their phone, but they're in the middle, and I can't help it. I have like an impulse control issue with that, where I walk by and I'm like, in the middle, and I know that what they're doing is annoying, but I don't want to have a conversation about it, so I'll like walk out and be like, in the middle.
That literally happened to me today. That is so crazy that you're saying that.
Oh,
Somebody stopped short on you, or were you the person who stopped short?
No, somebody was standing right. I was walking out of a camera store, and the lady stopped opened the door and stopped right in the middle of the open door. And I was like, out of all the space in this entire world, you chose the exit door.
Right.
Take
The exit door to stop.
just one step. Just
Yeah, you could have went one step, one step forward and one to the left. And like, we wouldn't have, I was like, what was it? How? Yeah, so I get that. That's so funny that you're to say that, because I was literally dealing with that a few hours ago.
our buddy JFO just put in the chat that he's pissed off, or he might say it grinds his gears, that Ice-T has never won an Emmy for Law and Order. I'm with you, JFO. The guy's incredible on that show.
It might
You should have
be
got
more
an
of a
Academy
departure
Award.
from him, though.
What's that, Jamie?
It might need to be more of a departure from him for it to be like Emmy worthy, because he's just like, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like ready to go already, walking in the door.
I think he should have got an Academy Award for New Jack City, but I'm biased. What do I know? I think that's one of the,
What a great
I love that
movie.
movie.
I haven't seen that in so long.
So good.
All right. I actually have 3 today, but I'm going to save them for
That's
the
not a surprise. How this
Yeah.
whole episode went, I am actually surprised it's only 3.
Well, now we're up to 5. If he's about to say 3 more, then
I feel like this episode was what grinds my gears.
The
from
episode.
start to finish.
Well,
And some serious stuff in the middle. And she's top 10 butt.
I do want to apologize for the Comic-Con people that I offended earlier. I'm going to say that out loud
They're
now.
gone.
Yeah.
They have left a
Yeah.
while ago.
They haven't gone anywhere. They're still. I was just going to say it again.
You're gonna
They
say
haven't
that
gone
were still home
anywhere.
in their mother's basements.
Why would you say that, Zilla?
No, I'm saying that you would say that.
Yeah.
yep. We want to be like,
Are-
it's better to do.
Oh God! You guys are just. You guys are mean.
7 years ago was amazing.
You guys are mean. All right, Zilla, what's your what do you have for us today?
Mine is also retail related. So I experienced this the other day. People that will not return their shopping carts to the appropriate corrals. Those people grind my gears. And as an addendum to that, folks, I love you for wearing your masks. Yes, please continue to wear your facial coverings. Please continue to wear your gloves if you find it so appropriate. But they don't belong on the ground of the parking lot of the establishment in which you are, frequenting. So please put your cart back, put your, PPE equipment in the appropriate trash receptacle, make this planet a better place. Stop being a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my experience. So I'm disabled. I'm in a disabled parking space, and there is a person who just left their cart in the disabled space next to mine, and here's this other disabled person trying to get into that space, and there's just a cart living in the middle of the parking space. Now that, so of course I went and moved it out of the way because that's the proper thing to do. But the real proper thing to have been done was for the person that originally had that cart to put it in the corral where it lives. He wants to go home.
You already get to walk into a store and have as much food as you want handed to you. Can you just put the cart back in the thing?
Right. I mean, is that too much to ask for?
You don't have to hunt or gather for that shit. Put the cart
Which
back.
would be fun.
Yeah.
There it is. Rob the Good Guyzilla. Thank you, DJ Marco Penta. I wasn't doing that for my good guy stripes, but I mean, it just seems.
Even when you're talking about shit that pisses you off, you're like sounding like a good guy.
Yeah, that's. Anything that he says is never going to be a grinds my gears. It's like a diet grinds my gear. He feels a certain kind of way.
I feel like this is like my version of like The More You Know at the end of like an NBC sitcom or like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like at the end of G.I. Joe. And knowing is half the battle. Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm at with this.
Oh boy. Okay, Neil, what do you got for us?
French fries.
Close. Close. It was really close. I actually find my grinds my gears, and I guess I find my grinds my gears whenever I'm on the show. Whenever I get on the show, I have no idea what grinds my gears until you guys start going at it, and then I'm like, I know exactly what grinds my gears, and it's Benihana.
What?
It is Benihana. I mean, actually, the audience will probably be able to tell what grinds my gears the second you guys start talking.
I'm sorry, Neil. I'm gonna take it. Well, I'm gonna let you expand on that, and then I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
I mean, there's not really much to expand on. I just figure you might as well just cut the middleman out and just throw it straight in the toilet.
Those are fighting words, Neil, and I like you. No, Neil. I mean, again, Anthony Bourdain once said that you have shitty taste in food.
Damn,
you by your own admission, Neil, you said like you're not much of a foodie or a food enthusiast, as it were. But I don't know. You're wrong. I mean, I get it. It grinds your gears. God bless you, but you're still wrong.
And I'm making you go with me to Benihana.
You know what? We should all have a Benihana excursion to give you maybe you're just going with the wrong people, Neil.
I just think that Anthony Bourdain didn't know you guys at the time. So he was just like, I was there. But if you guys were with me, he'd be like, Neil, move out of the way.
I don't know.
I think you're going with the wrong people. I think that you need a better crew because truth be told, Benihana's good. But Benihana's great when you're with the right people.
Yes.
So
yeah, we'll get you all.
Yeah, everything is great when you're with the right people.
Even Benihana could be great with the right people.
Yeah, Neil. Even Benihana.
Is that what you're saying?
It's the right people that make
I know.
that make pretty much anything great.
Right.
I am saying the company you are with make garbage great.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This
I'm gonna
shows
invite you
okay.
to dinner and tell you that I've hired a Benihana chef to come through and we're like part of my apartment. and he's gonna make us a meal.
Wait, say that again.
I'm gonna hire a Benihana chef to wheel that damn cart in this apartment in a grill and invite you over and not tell you why. And we're gonna have a Benihana intervention.
I want a picture with Neil with a Benihana hat on.
I
Like
can
they
see
give
him
people
like,
on their birthdays.
flipping the shrimp and looking at me and then flicking at me. I just like bat it out of the way. Just
Sipping a Mai Tai out of a giant Buddha.
Cat!
Get out of
Like,
It's like, ooh, get that shit out of the way.
So last week, Neil's Grinds My Gears was men that wear Uggs, and I changed my Grinds My Gears to hate. I hate people that wear Uggs, which I could easily do this today again and be lazy.
So that means you have 4.
No, I said I'm not going to do it. But I
by
could
saying it, you might as well have said it. I'm not going to say.
I'm
that
not
I
going to
don't like
say
people
that
don't
I
like
hate
Benihana.
people that hate Benihana.
However,
Yes. So in my my little quarantine vacation in New York, I've gone out to eat a few times, and I have a couple. Well, first of all, I had a memory pop up on Facebook today, and it was me ranting as usual, saying that I don't understand people that eat corn on the cob. Okay?
what's not to understand?
When you eat it like this, you burn your hands, you get shit everywhere on your hands, and then it goes in your front teeth, and it's like everywhere, and it gets stuck in your teeth. But
You're
if you
not
just
using little cob ends?
Do you eat a burger?
You're not using those little mini corn cob ends that you hold on?
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. So what I do is I just cut it off the cob. Like, why wouldn't you just cut it off the cob? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you had a choice to have it on the cob or off the cob, what would you do?
depends on environment.
But what?
It depends on where I'm at. If I'm at a restaurant, I might opt to have it off the cob just because, you don't want to be.
I'm not saying
No, then
like
you shake the little niblets around. Unless you're going to use a spoon, then you look like the guy taking spoonfuls of corn at a restaurant.
I guess there's that.
I guess I was more talking about when I'm at home. I always just slice it off the cob. I cook it on the cob, and then I take it off. That way, it's easier to eat. Okay, I'm glad nobody agrees with me on this one.
No, I mean,
Hey, wait, if you're cooking it, does that fit on Grinds My Gears? You did it to yourself, no?
No, the people that don't, like the people that would say they'd prefer to eat it on a cob, those people grind my gears. Because I think they're insane.
Dude, I think you're on a roll this whole episode. I think everything is just.
Dude, I've been cooped up in a hotel room for 2 weeks.
I was going to say, I think the last 2 weeks in New York have kind of just changed your.
Guys, I haven't had any interaction with people. I had a 5-minute conversation with the guy at the deli earlier because I haven't talked to anybody. He was very nice.
How is he, by the way?
He gave me a menu for the deli. I mean, it's great. I might go there right after the show and get some more stuff. So anyway, I guess we'll. So my second one, I'm going to do all three. I don't really care. I'm doing all three today.
It's your show.
My second grinds my gears today is Postmates. 2 fucking hours to get breakfast delivered today. 2 hours.
You're ordering from the wrong places.
Yeah. All I wanted was a good bagel. There's no good bagels on the Lower East Side. So
You're in the bagel capital of the world.
Yeah,
Wow.
what happened to Russ and Daughters?
What?
Russ and Daughter?
Yeah. I didn't want to wait online.
So you waited.
That 2 hours is your fault.
Yes, I know. But so
I don't know. I think what grinds what it Postmates is you.
This is the third time they fucked up with me in the last week, though. The last time I ordered a salad, and the guy calls me and says, "Hey, I just got here and they gave your salad away." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, they gave it to someone else." I'm like, "So I'm not getting a salad?" He's like, "No." So okay, so I had to walk out and go get food.
Your money back?
What's that? Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, they tried to give me a credit. I go, "I don't want a credit. I want a refund." I mean, even though I would have used it anyway, but it was the principle of the matter.
As a quick aside, Justin, as a guy here that owns a restaurant, I'm going to tell you that the exact same drivers that drive for Postmates, drive for DoorDash, that drive for Grubhub Seamless, it's the same people. So the only thing that changes is the platform that you're using.
I know. Glad
we clarified that.
Okay, and my last one today, and I had this, Zilla, I think I told you this story. And I actually need some input here to you guys need to tell me if I'm an absolute fucking psychopath. Because I don't think I am.
I don't think you need to even say that. But anyway, go ahead.
I went to a diner for breakfast a few days ago. And I had some coffee. I was drinking coffee. I had, I think, 2 cups of coffee while I was there. And then as the guy brought the check over, he said, "Would you like more coffee?" I go, "Yeah, I'd love one to go." Okay, so actually, no, it was before he brought the check. I'm like, "Hey, can I get a check?" He goes, "Yeah, would you like some more coffee?" "Yes, I'd like one to go." Okay, so now he brings the check over. And I mean, if you go to a diner or any restaurant for that matter, when you have coffee, like they charge you once for a cup of coffee. They don't charge you for every coffee you have. So when the bill came, there were 2 cups of coffee on it. The guy tried to charge me for the to-go coffee on top of my eating in coffee. And I had a big problem with that. Obviously not because of the $2.50. It was the principle of the matter. I think it's bullshit that they would ever charge someone for a to-go coffee. If you want to raise the price by a quarter to compensate for that to-go cup and charge me for 1 cup of coffee, I understand. Do you? Okay, Marco Pinta, probably a restaurant policy. I said something to him. I go, "Hey man," of course I had to say something like an idiot. I'm like, "Hey, you're charging me for 2 cups of coffee. I could just sit here for the next 2 hours and take up your table and drink free coffee. Or you can just give me a cup to go and not charge me." And so the manager came over and took it off. Actually, he took off my original cup of coffee too. So I paid for 0 cups of coffee. But that's not the point of the story. The point of my story is, I've been in this business my whole life. I think it's bullshit that they would charge for a second cup of coffee.
Well, you know, Karen, Jordan Zott from Staten Island says, when you go to a buffet, you can't take a to-go plate.
I don't agree with the analogy.
Well, you can take it up with your brother. So I don't know. I see both. Yeah. Neil Jackson in the Twitch chat says he is crazy, y'all. Like I see both sides of it, Justin, but I don't know, man. You know what? They probably should have just charged you for the extra one. Like they should have just charged you for the to-go one, and then and then called it. That would have been that. But what do I know? Did you get your early bird discount, old man? No?
I didn't.
Okay.
I did not. I don't know.
Wow.
New York has made me salty for the last 2 weeks. I'm like, and now I remember why I left this place 15 years ago. I could never live here. I could never live here again.
You need to get yourself back to the mean streets of Park City, Utah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Where they toughen men up.
I just. All right. Well, I guess no one liked my grinds my gears today. That's okay.
No, we loved it. Just for all the wrong reasons.
Can't hit a home run every time. Sometimes it's a single. Today was a single for me. All right. Well, it's been exactly 2 hours at this point, which is the longest one we've ever done. So, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to promote or talk about before we get out of here?
No, then we talked about, I mean, for me, it's always just same mental health, veterans, all that stuff. We touched on all of it. And I think that's perfect balance of goofiness and talking through some shit. So I thought it was pretty great.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What do you want to talk about, Zilla, before we leave?
just a reminder, if you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Be sure, so that you can get notifications every time that we are on. Follow each and every single one of us on our social media handles. You will find them scrolling on the screen underneath. Make sure that once Law & Order SVU returns to NBC, that you give our girl Jamie a look and check out her episodes as well. What's that?
Neil missed it. He went to try and hit the dun-dun and he wrote.
Dude, I was so close. I like the fact that Jamie was watching me on that one. I was like,
I guess I lost my train of thought. Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
I thought you were a professional radio guy. Like, you're the one guy that's not allowed to lose his train of thought. This is your profession.
You told me you were the one all together.
That's right.
But by all means, thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out. We can't do this show without you, so we're grateful that you're here. And Jamie, thank you so much for being here as well.
Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Neil?
Neil, what do you want to say?
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for doing this. And catch me in the morning. Beans, Rhymes, and Life, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I thought he was going to say catch me outside. How about that?
All right, I'm done.
No, you're not. No. I'm sorry.
Twitch.tv/Neil Jackson. But yeah. But Jamie, thank you.
Yeah. I don't really have.
Wait. Sorry, Justin. I'm going to interject. Neil, what are you doing this weekend? What sets are you doing so that we can, for those that are looking for blow off some steam this weekend?
My next set is actually with Vice and Splice on Back to Day Ones. Yeah. If you're on the East Coast, I'm doing it at 1 a.m. I'm doing a throwback slow jam set.
Wow.
A throwback R&B set.
Nice.
So, and then tomorrow I'm doing White Label Sundays. Forgot what
Sunday.
time I'm on.
No. Yeah. Sunday you're doing White Label Sundays.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm doing. Tomorrow, I'm just going to kind of cruise. So.
All right. I will promote my shows now, and that's because these guys tell me that I have to do this. I always forget. So tomorrow we have White Label and Friends with DJ Flips out of, where's Flips from?
DC.
Washington, D.C. And that is at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then Sunday, we have White Label Sundays. And that's actually starting early this week at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And that goes from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. So those are my two shows that I have this weekend. And then I'm actually going on vacation on Sunday. Finally, my family will allow me to be part of, I can actually see them since I've been in New York now almost for 2 weeks, and I've kind of quarantined myself. So that's exciting. I get to hang out on the Jersey Shore, do some fist pumping. I mean, not really. I'm not.
Say hi to Pauly D for us.
What's that?
I said say hi to Pauly D for us.
Yeah, he lives in Vegas, but I get.
It was a Jersey Shore reference, weirdo.
Okay.
I was with you, Rob.
Thank you, Neil. At least Neil gets me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, again, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. And I think we did it all. So, Neil, you ready to play us out?
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, this is Anthony Bourdain letting you know Neil Jackson has shitty taste in food.